Hey everybody, I'm here today to share a practice on making peace with food called unconditional permission to eat. So a couple caveats before we launch into the practice. Number one, if you haven't already checked out our video on Principle 3, Making Peace with Food, I want you to check the link in the description box below. Go watch that, come back, and then do this practice. Another reminder that this is a non-diet approach to healing your relationship with food. So this practice is not about weight loss. It is not even really about nutrition. It is about finding the difficult places in your relationships with food and working on making peace with them, overcoming them so that you can move on to have a healthier relationship with food and your body. So with all of that being said, let's launch into the practice of unconditional permission to eat. So the first thing that you want to do to start this practice is you want to make a list of foods that you really like and enjoy, and really take some time. Give yourself a good 5 minutes, 10 minutes even. Really think about the things that you like to order out. Think about the foods that you remember really enjoying with particular people or at particular times in your life. Kind of really mine your memory for all of the foods that you like, crave, enjoy, and make a big giant list of those. And then second, from that list, what you want to do is actually circle or highlight the things that are on that list that you actually feel that you maybe do not give yourself full permission to eat. You maybe restrict them or avoid them or have particular rules or limits on how you eat them or when you eat them. Or if you eat them, you feel really guilty or shameful that you enjoy these particular foods. So highlight and circle the ones that you don't give yourself permission to eat, either physically, literally, or emotionally, metaphorically. Okay, so once you have that list and you've highlighted all the foods that you're avoiding, I want you to pick one of the foods that you're avoiding and you're gonna decide to no longer avoid it. This is gonna be the food that you work on for this unconditional permission to eat practice. And in order to practice with that food, you have to go out and get it. You have to obtain it. It has to be in your abode. So you're gonna have to go out and get it. You're gonna have to figure out and decide an amount to get, how much you wanna have on hand. And the recommendation here, is really to have more on hand than you feel like that you can eat. So if it is a takeout meal, I would get 2 orders, maybe even 3 orders. If it is a snack or something that's packaged, I would say get 3 or 4 different packages of it. The idea being that you want to have more on hand than you really can comfortably go through in one sitting. And that sounds terrifying. And a lot of people really will stop at unconditional permission when they feel this type of rule and the scarcity feeling of, oh my gosh, if I have that all in my house all at one time, I might lose control, I might eat it all. And really the practice is about teaching yourself that you may initially feel out of control with this food, but if you have enough on hand, you're actually going to find that you surprise yourself. And at some point, the intensity of your experience with that food is going to die down, and you're actually going to have more ability to maintain and have that food in the house without feeling so activated and intense by it. So don't be scared. Get more than you think you need. And then we're going to move on to the next step. And that is going to be really planning the time, the place, the environment, and whether you want to be with people to practice unconditional permission with eating this food. For some people, this is best achieved working with a dietitian or a therapist to make these kinds of decisions and talking through them. You want to figure out a place that you're going to be comfortable. Sometimes having supports there helps, sometimes it doesn't, but ultimately you want to make those decisions in advance of the time that you decide to have this practice. So once all the details are decided, you have to have that practice. You have to serve yourself the food, have it available, and you are going to essentially mindfully eat. You want to really not necessarily do anything different about the way that you would approach that food, but you want to notice how much you're enjoying it or not enjoying it, how fast you're eating it or not eating it. You might want to make some decisions about the flavor or the texture. You might start to really notice a lot of thoughts and fears and anxiety pop up. And these all have to do with the emotional relationship to the food and what the food symbolizes for you. And these are all things that you want to start working on, thinking through, and moving past in this relationship. So you're having the experience, giving yourself as much as you need to eat and enjoy. And that may mean eating more than one serving. It may mean eating more than one box. And it gives you the opportunity to also at some point turn into your body and notice how is that feeling and what types of feelings are coming up there. So this is really a practice of complete unconditional permission to eat this food, and also kind of the responsibility piece of really noticing what is the impact of eating that food. Is it really enjoyable, or is it something that feels uncomfortable? And once you come out of this practice, you may find that with this particular food, you may do it a couple more times and ultimately decide whether you like that food or not. And once you decide whether you like the food or don't, you want to commit to having that if you really like it, right? So if it's a food that you really enjoyed and want to have again that week, you again have to give yourself unconditional permission to eat. Ideally, you've given yourself enough supply that you're not kind of entering scarcity mentality of feeling like, oh my gosh, there's only so much left, so now I need to start rationing, and now I can't actually eat as much as I want. So kind of have enough that you can continue to have that food if you really like and enjoy it. And over time, you're going to find that actually you are empowered to be able to make more moderate and appropriate choices around that food. So if that practice helped with that particular food, the next piece from here is to apply that same principle to other types of foods that you have restricted or not let yourself enjoy or have permission to include in your everyday eating. And if this feels like a really intense practice, again, we always recommend working with a professional or working with someone who's a trusted support in your own journey. But I hope that helps understanding a little bit more about unconditional permission to eat and making peace with food. And we will see you in the next video for principle number 4.